Yes. My chest is all I need to do now, so I can make it work. Oh, there we go. It's up. Hello. Welcome to Over the Counter with David. Sorry for the technical difficulties getting it going this first time. I need to turn the sound off on the computer. We're almost there. One moment. Alrighty. Hello. Thank you for joining today. The first day is always a bit of a learning adventure, and that's what we've been doing so far today. Today, let's see, it's the first attempt at being online and broadcasting, and I want to thank you for being here. It's been a lot of fun trying to get to this point, and let's start. Let's see. We're going to make a roast chicken today. We're going to do the most simple and easiest way to make one. It's a great standard. We'll put together that with some excellent mashed potatoes. It's my favorite way to eat potatoes. And Brussels sprouts. And we'll get to all of this today. So, Jeremy is over at the computer. He'll be monitoring the chats. So.
Unfortunately, boozeless.
Boozeless. Hopefully the rest of you will be able to drink for him and tell him how much fun you're having while you're getting drunk. We will start with putting together the chicken because that takes the longest amount of time. And when you're putting together a meal, if you're wanting everything to come out at pretty much at one time so you can serve it, you need to think about what the timing will be and how long different components are going to take as you go through it. So the chicken's going to take about an hour plus a little bit of time. The potatoes are going to take about 30 minutes and the Brussels sprouts about 20. But the potatoes will be able to sit and rest and be okay. Let's see. Alrighty. Let me get a chopping block or a surface I can work on with the chicken. I went to the butcher yesterday. We're in Seattle, and the Pike Place Market has just a couple places open. So when I went to go buy food to prepare for today, I decided to go support our local business. So
Jerry's chanting naked chef, naked chef.
Who is?
Jerry.
Not this time, but maybe in the future.
Someone named PNW Devil says, Jeremy, you should get your drink on. Why did David not buy anything to drink when he was out shopping?
Because there's no liquor stores open at the market. We do have wine. Should I open wine for him?
No.
Okay. Do I have... I have some kombucha if you want. When you get a chicken from your grocery store, it is usually you'll buy them and they'll be frozen, which is great because they keep for a very long time.
Whoever PNW Devil is says there's a 7-Eleven right there. Oh, and it's Lance. It's Lance watching.
Oh, hi Lance.
And Lance, the 7-Eleven just has beer and crappy wine. I need like champagne or bourbon or something. And by the way, the liquor stores are all open. David just didn't go.
No, I did not go to a liquor store.
Anyway, go ahead. Malt liquor, they're now saying get malt liquor. No.
Malt liquor?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the...
Like an Old 40 or something?
Right. Schlitz malt liquor or Zima.
Zima.
Zima's great.
Oh, and now Carrie Lehman is on. She says, hey, David and Jeremy.
Hello.
And I know Dana Henschel's watching too, I think, but she hasn't said anything. So Dana, what's up? Yes, Kroll, why am I boozeless? Great question. I had a little fit about it earlier.
He did.
Mm-hmm. It's called being thoughtful for your guests, right, Kroll?
If he was a guest.
It's Roddy and Angela are on.
Hi, everybody.
Lance says to get my smoke on. Don't worry, I am.
So with the roast chicken, when you buy your chickens at the grocery store, if you buy them like just your standard, like in the meat section at the grocery store, they're going to be frozen. They'll be typically what?
Please use our decent cut chopping blocks.
I will.
Okay,
When you buy them, they're frozen, so it's going to take. If you're going to like defrost it in the refrigerator, it'll take at least 24 hours for a 4-pound chicken. It can take a little longer depending on how cold your fridge is, and you just kind of have to pay a little bit of attention to them. One of the things that you'll also, let's see, the other one, I guess, hold on. The first, okay.
Sean and Anya say hello and that they're hungry.
Hi everybody, hi Sean, hi Anya. So, I should be a little more like going through the options here of what I put in the menu or in the recipe. There's 2 ways to really defrost the chicken safely. One of them is in a refrigerator for 24 hours, and the second one is to take your frozen chicken and put it in a bowl of cold water for at least 30 minutes. And then from there, you pour out the water and then you put it into you refill the bowl and you keep it for at least another 30 minutes. You want to use cold water. If you're going to do the submersion method, you want to make sure that the chicken is not open first. You want to put it in while it's in its plastic because that protects the chicken meat from all the water. It's not a low-end brine. At that point, you're just trying to defrost it, and you don't want the meat to just get waterlogged and soak up all the moisture. So when you put it in, change the water, do it again, and this also will help keep bacteria down. If you put just the bird in water and just let it sit for days and days, it'll just become a interesting growing massive biology experiment. But when you have it in the fridge, take your frozen chicken, put it in a bowl, put it in the fridge, low down, not right against the top where the cold air is coming out, but on a lower shelf. Let it sit there, and then then check it after 24 hours. And worst case, you can put it in some cold water for a little bit if it's not quite ready. When you get a store-bought chicken also, on the inside of the cavity, they put all the giblets inside. And you're going to want to, when the chicken's defrosted, take those out and either dispose of them or save them to use them at a later time. Like if you're into chicken liver or pate, or you want to make, I don't know. Anyway, rinsing my hands again because I am touching poultry and I don't want to cross-contaminate, and that's our biggest danger in working with meats is contamination. I'm going to get a prettier metaphor. We'll use this guy to actually do the prep. All right. So to prepare the chicken, we need to turn the oven on first. Make sure you didn't leave anything inside. Put the oven at 400, nice and hot. You can put it a little higher. There's some recipes that'll have you put it higher for a shorter amount of time or similar, or it'll have you put it on a lower amount for a much longer time. But when we're doing this, I'm kind of presenting it as a guide instead of a hard and fast recipe, because there's a lot of variations on what you're working with.
Lance has a question. He says, first of all, I'm glad that you're keeping it clean, girl, because of COVID-19. But also, what temperature again for the oven?
400 degrees for the oven.
Keeping it clean and hot, girl, Lance.
Hot. All right, so with this, we're going to just do a simple seasoning. We're going to, before I touch it again because I want to get the seasons, we're going to put just a little salt and pepper on the inside so you can get some flavor around. And then mainly we're only going to season the outside, and then we're going to trust the bird. All right, let's get the salt and pepper. Alrighty.
Roddy wants to know, is David, do you have projected text to read, or are you depending on me only? Me only, Roddy. I have one function today. That is to sit here and read your text and to drink.
And to drink water. There is kombucha in the refrigerator. But he's turning his nose up at that. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pre-grinding a bunch of pepper because I don't want to touch the chicken, touch the pepper, touch the chicken, touch the pepper, and end up with bacteria all over my pepper grinder that then the next time I go to make something, it'll just be waiting there in the cupboard for me, all nice and special. And then this, I use kosher salt a lot when I'm cooking, just because it's a larger flake, it's easier to grab, it's easier to see when it lands on the product what you're doing. You can see how much you have left. And normal table salt has anti-caking agents in it. They can make it a little bitter, so I tend to not use that as much for larger seasoning. Yes?
Lance says, I would too. That is nasty.
That is nasty.
And Roddy says, I'm your filter for the day, apparently.
Oh, you are?
I'm the filter.
Yeah.
Since you can't read the text and I'm here reading it, yep.
Yeah.
So Roddy, if you can hear me, I think you can. The situation is, I'm behind the camera sitting on the couch watching him and reading from his laptop.
Yeah. All right, I'm just getting a little bowl because, like I said, I don't want to cross-contaminate my salt either, so I'm going to just put some salt in this metal bowl. And then these are my dirty chicken spices now.
So I know Sean and Anya are watching and they say they're hungry. And so Anya, I think if you ask Uncle David really nice, maybe he'll make this for you in person. Maybe next time we're there for Spakesgiving.
I can do that. Yeah. Some of the things you can do with the roast chicken, even though I'm not going down this path today, is you can stuff it just like you would a turkey. You could like make a stuffing, like a bread stuffing, if that entices you. One of the things that I often do is I will chop up some onion, chop up some like apple, put those in there with some garlic. That works really well. But for this, we're doing it the simple way. Why did I throw that away so far? So first, I'm going to season the cavity of the chicken. I can't really show you too well how that looks, and I'm sure most of you probably don't want to see.
Roddy says you can just stuff it.
Huh?
Roddy says you can just stuff it.
Oh, you want me to? Well, we do have apples.
No.
Oh, he's like talking about just in general.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So I put salt and pepper on the inside, probably about a half a teaspoon of each, not a whole lot. Now, when you're cooking the chicken, what its tendency to do is just like this. so it doesn't slide off the board. See how he's all splayed out? Is that coming across? When the chicken cooks, it kind of is going to fall this way. And the problem with that while it's roasting is these bits on the end and over here, they're going to get cooked a lot faster because they're smaller than the body of the chicken and the main parts of the meat, like on the thighs and on the breast. So when you truss a chicken, and this was one of the things I never really understood, you're trying to just bring them together so that you don't have little pieces flapping around and hanging out. So on the recipe I posted, I said there is a nose, which is actually this bit of the tail right here. And you see the little flat guy? Where the tail feather is attached. That's going to be our anchor point for doing the trussing of the chicken. So let me...
Sean says, I can't stop thinking about Julia Child. Tell her about the Dan Aykroyd skit we watched the other night. Yeah.
So Jeremy, I don't think he'd ever seen that.
I had never seen it, no.
That 70s episode of Saturday Night Live where Dan Aykroyd was being Julia Child, and he was going along and doing a rather good like impersonation and impression of her. And in the process, he was actually, I think he was doing a chicken, but he was slicing along and like cut his thumb, and it like starts bleeding everywhere. Actually, on the website, over the counter with David, it's actually davidspake.com, but on the website, on the story about this, I actually put a link to that episode, so you can go watch Dan Aykroyd being Julia Child, and oh my, I've cut the dickens out of my thumb. All right, so I keep a thing of string in the kitchen specifically for doing chickens and roast. It's just plain old white string. I think it's cotton. I just cut off a bit. Pick that box up. Okay. Just make a little slip knot. And then put it around the nose. Whoops, I didn't tighten that I didn't do that very well, did I? Try this again. What?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
I put in your website address.
Oh, thanks.
Your mother says, by the way, the little tracking square that faces around your face, all that stuff is on. I didn't want to bother you in the middle of this, so don't stress about it, but apparently it's all on.
Well, let me fix that because that's annoying, and I didn't realize that was all up. My hands have never been so clean.
Cute.
Is that better? Come on, go away. I want to go away. I'm trying, people, I'm trying.
Looks like there's even more now.
Probably. Okay. Nope. How do I make that go away? It should just, is it still up?
Yep.
Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. I don't think it matters.
Well, it's not what I want. Well. Interesting. Well, I don't know how to fix it, so...
This is not important. Go back to doing what you're doing.
Okay. Oh well.
I'll be a better filter, Roddy. Sorry.
I turned that the wrong way. Doo-doo-doo. How are you enjoying the learning episode of Over the Counter?
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Huh. Oh well. We shall have to figure out how to get by this next time, but everybody gets the camera controls today. So what I did here, or what I was working at before let's make it a true slip knot now. Okay. Flip them over. So what we're going to do is I have attached the string to the little bit here. And if your chicken doesn't have one, you can just start by bringing in the ends of the legs and tie them together. So let's see, we'll just bring him up here. We'll bring you in there, and then I'll do a quick little knot and bring it up together. Do it again, just keep it kind of tight. Then I'm going to take it down through between the legs and the body. We'll cross over, we'll loop around and just grab the wings like this. There's better ways to maybe to do it, but the main thing, you're just trying to tuck all of the body of all the parts of the chicken in together.
This scroll says you're oddly soothing.
Am I? Awesome. ASMR kitchen. No.
That's good.
Maybe I'll do an episode or a day where I'm just sharpening my knife silently and you can hear it. Shh, shh. All right. So the chicken is trussed. He's together. See how the legs aren't splaying out anymore. He's not a cheap prostitute. He's just a little chicken again. So yes, I know I'm spilling salt everywhere. Liberally salt the outside because this is where most of the salt's going to come from, or the flavoring. Get back in there.
Carrie Lehman says she's having some Beavis and Butthead moments in her head, but she's going to keep it to herself. But she texted it, and then I read it out loud, so that really kind of, that strategy failed, Carrie. And then someone said, slap that chicken. I don't know who Deceivious is.
Deceivious, that's Diana.
Oh, Diana.
So now I'll put some pepper on it. Wow, I'm really making a mess. I am Julia Child. One of the best things about her was she would make a mess or something would go wrong and she, whoops, like that. I just spilled way too much on. It's okay. So we've got a seasoned chicken. And then, anyway, I was saying I like Julia Child because she would make a mess. But she would just swipe it on the floor. She would not care. She'd pick something up and toss it in the trash or just whatever she needed to do to keep going.
Sounds like your style.
My style. And there went the preheated oven indicator. The main thing that I want to bring to the show and to doing this is that cooking is fun and interesting. Things can go wrong, but rarely are things irrecoverable. There's always something you can do. Something falls, you can clean it, you can try again. Very rarely do you render yourself, unless you just burn the dickens out of something, very rarely do you just render it inedible or unusable. You just have to learn how to manage those things.
Kroll says her whole life right now is how Julia Child cooks. Hashtag mess.
Mess. All right. So, I like to cook my chicken in a Dutch oven because it saves a lot of hassle for me. I'm just going to wipe some of the salt away here real quickly. We're back. All right, so I like to use a Dutch oven, which is just really a big cast iron pot with a lid. What I like about it is it contains the heat, controls it. One of the problems you can put a roasted chicken, in a roasting pan, which is just a large, I don't actually have one here. It's like a baking sheet with 4 or 5 inch sides, and they're about this big, and you can put a turkey in them, you can put a roast in them, and they work great, except when I'm doing something small like a chicken, there's a chance that if I forget it, lose track, it can dry out too much. One of the things I like about this is it makes a little sauna for the chicken, it cooks it inside, and the steam and everything just stays in there and it just works together. One of the things I do have is I've got these like stainless steel like trivets that fit really well in the bottom of my pan, and this will just keep him from maybe sticking in the bottom because I didn't oil it, and that's that. So when we're cooking it, if we're cooking it in a Dutch oven, we're going to start it. This is the side with this is the breast side, this is the thigh side. We're going to start it thigh side up. Put them in the pot. And then just put the lid on. Now, because I've touched the chicken, the endless hand washing, because if I go to reach for the oven, I'll have chicken juice all over my hands and I'll get chicken germs on the oven handle. And then later, if I'm making vegetables or just check to see if something's in the oven, I will cross-contaminate myself.
Gia Pet is here. I believe that's
Hi.
Gia. Yes.
All right.
Gianna says she needs one of those. Read the Dutch oven.
They're really great. I've got some fancy like Le Creuset ones. It's not quite as big. I've got this stainless steel Lodge one, Lodge. They just work great. The brand names are awesome, but I'm not using an enameled one, so cast iron is kind of cast iron.
Kroll says she's only 2 salmonella episodes away from her goal weight.
2 what?
2 salmonella episodes away from her goal weight. Keep trying, Kroll. I have faith.
We believe in you.
Kroll, I would also be happy to give you food poisoning. I think that would be a joy.
Who was it? Bette Midler once said she got an amoeba when she was in Mexico and it was the best diet she ever had. So it can work for you. It's not the best controlled way to do it, but it can work. I'm going to just get a drying cloth and set this chopping board over here real quickly.
Kroll says it's not true because we saw her 8-month belly yesterday from her, it's her wine belly.
Oh, wine belly.
Yeah, her wine belly's in effect.
Are you going to give birth to a Pinot or a...
Knowing Kroll, it's gonna be a nice Pinot Grigio. A healthy bundle of joy. Angel is here.
Hi, Angel. So let's see. The next thing about the chicken is, the beauty of a roast chicken is it doesn't take a lot of help now. We've got it in the oven. Chicken does take, if you're going to roast a chicken, it takes, or you should count on 45 minutes of cook time plus 7 or 8 minutes for every pound of chicken. So this was a 4-pound chicken, so that will be 45 minutes plus 28 minutes, which is about an hour and 15 will be our target for total. Unlike some things, it's an hour and 15 where I only have to open it up and look once because I'm using the Dutch oven.
Jerry says that you've inspired Josh because he's making calzones.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Josh. Okay, so the second thing that we were going to make is mashed potatoes. We have a lot of time until the chicken's done, but we can just work through it. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer. We can just talk. Jeremy's being a great little
sober moderator.
Because, you know, Jeremy and moderation go hand in hand.
Deanna says, lol. And Josh says hi.
Hi.
And they're having a dance party while the chicken is cooking. Or Jerry wants to have a dance party.
Oh, okay.
But instead, Jerry's going to switch to mashed potatoes.
Okay. So, I am going to just pick out about 2 pounds of mashed potatoes. Let's see if they really are 2 pounds, just out of curiosity. A little kitchen scale. I'm going to put a bowl in it to hold them, otherwise I don't want to do the math, so let's see, set the tare weight, which is the bowl is set as a 0 value. Oh, this is 2 pounds. However, I love mashed potatoes, so this would represent 2 pounds here. But I love mashed potatoes, and who only wants a little bit of mashed potatoes? I mean, there's so much you can do with them. Like you can eat them, and you can eat them. But really, I mean, you can make, I can't remember what the name of that fried potato cake is is it Sweden? It's...
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Gia will probably be typing it here before we finish.
Gia, since you're our resident trivia person, what is the name of the Swedish dish? Latkes, right?
Latkes,
Latkes, that's what it is. Never mind, Gia, you're off the hook. And Sean says, you are the mashed potato master. And Sean, I could not agree more. His mashed potatoes are the best I've ever had.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a pot on and put some water in it. I've got a fancy pasta pot with an insert.
David's fancy.
Fancy. The main thing that you want to do, one of the things about, can I make that less noisy? One of the things when you're cooking potatoes or pasta, quinoa, any starch is ensure that you have enough water in your pot. Because as they cook, some of the starch will come out and kind of thicken the water and make it extra bubbly. Part of when you're like making pasta and stuff like that, and when it boils over, it's because some of that starch has gone into the water. And you're getting a nice little effect from that.
Josh is typing, and he says hello.
Hi, Josh.
Josh has been cooking a lot lately, so he's been making calzones today, apparently. And Josh, your mom sent us videos of you cooking the other night when you made dessert. So we've been paying attention to your progress.
Yes.
Oh, and Lance says that he wants a redo of Christmas Eve dinner at our house because it was so amazing.
Was that the prime rib night?
Well, he says Christmas Eve / Thanksgiving. We had both of those here with Lance.
Right.
And Lance, what did we have for Christmas? I forgot. That was prime rib, babe.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yes, we can do a prime rib day. Okay, so I put in water. It's about half of the height of the area that's available to cook. If you don't have one of these little built-in strainers, it's no big deal. Just fill your pot, turn it on. One of the things I do like is heavily salted water rather than not. Particularly if you're doing pasta as well. A lot of the flavor comes from the salt, and I'm going to put in about a tablespoon and a half.
You guys, doesn't David Spake look great on camera?
So that's on. It's heating to boil. Now we're going to wash the potatoes. Wash them. Hot, too hot. I'm actually going to use a little sponge so I can get all the bits off.
Lance said it would be better if you were shirtless, and that it was turkey that we had that you cooked that was so good.
Oh.
And Josh said he made a fruit cocktail pound cake.
Oh, that was right. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
With whipped cream on it.
Right. Yes, Josh, your mom sent us photos and a video, so it looked really good. So maybe next time we see you, you can make that for us.
Yeah.
And Carrie says you're a natural on camera.
Oh, and thanks, Carrie.
Carrie was here once and stayed with us, and she's Keep Up official because we left her here.
Oh, that's true. We sure did. So Jeremy is sitting off to this side, and if you see me staring off camera, I'm sorry. Trying to be good about that. It is the first day that we've done this, so some learning involved. But when he talks, I keep looking at him instead of at the audience and you guys. So here we have our potatoes.
Carrie says she knows all our secrets from when she was here and Keep Up official. Because after we left, she went through all of our drawers.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she wore all of our underwear around.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So Carrie knows all of our secrets.
All right. So we got all our washed potatoes. Move this back out of the way. Now I'm going to use a different one. So we have time to do this. There's no rush with the potatoes because the water has to boil. So we've got like 15 minutes of excitement. I personally am using Yukon Gold potatoes today. What I like about it is that these skins are, the skins on it are very mild. So if I cut them up and put them in my mashed potatoes, I can have a rustic feel, and that's not overly like gritty or something like that. A lot of times when you use like Idaho potatoes or standard baking potatoes, they work fine. They just, you have to peel them, and I'm a fan of not peeling them, and I like the rustic flavors. So
I think Lauren O'Keefe is watching because I just got a text from her saying, David is doing a great job. I may attempt to cook along next time. I hope there is one. I got to get the kiddo out for a scooter ride. So
yes.
She's bailing to go take her kid out, but Lauren O'Keefe was watching, so thanks, Lauren.
So yes, the future plan is to get the recipes online earlier in the week and allow people to be able to shop and prepare for it so we can do a cook along. And that's one of the ideas and the thoughts behind the live stream is not having anything prepared ahead of time and doing it while we're here so that we can do it together and not racing too quickly so that people who are less experienced cooks are able to keep up or to participate and not feel overwhelmed. It's not like that Lucille Ball episode where she's in the chocolate factory and she can't keep up and she starts stuffing them in her mouth because she can't keep up. We don't want to do that. We actually want to make sure that everything is accessible to everybody who takes the time to watch this. So I'm just roughly chopping the potatoes, quartering them first, and then putting them in inch-ish to half-inch to inch chunks. If you make them too small, like if I was making hash browns, then you end up with like a waterlogged potato. There's too much surface area, too much water gets in, the starch breaks down and it gets kind of mealy and icky and everything breaks apart. So the bigger chunks work really well. And the other nice thing is when you slice them like this, you can take a moment to look at the potatoes and to just make sure that you don't have any damage or, you know, sometimes you get little black spots or the eyes have like grown a little bit and they need to be cut off. So slicing them, I haven't been pointing out that I've been checking it, but I have been checking each of these as I go through.
Deanna says your knife looks sharp.
Yes, I try to keep my knives very sharp. Sharp knives are your biggest friend in the kitchen. One of the most dangerous things that you can do is try to cut with a dull knife. A sharp knife sounds dangerous to a lot of people that don't know, but a dull knife is what's dangerous because if you are fighting to get through your food, it's very easy for you to lose control or for it to like twist in your hand. And as a result, you end up putting yourself at risk because it is a blade, and even if it's not super sharp, it'll still cut your skin or stab yourself or hurt yourself. So, yes, I like very sharp knives, and so, like I was saying, I probably will, sometime during the week, just get on and stand here and sharpen knives for a while. It won't be on a main Saturday thing, but it will be just something that has to be done anyway, so we'll just do it online.
Well, Deanna says they're good for home defense as well, and she couldn't cut potatoes like that.
Yeah.
Your knives are pretty cool. Kroll says the next demo, she wants you in an apron and nothing else.
And nothing else. Well, I do have some aprons that we can like pull out and look at here in a little bit while we wait. So potatoes are chopped. I'm going to just set them over by the water. The water is heating but not hot. The other thing I wanted to do is I want to put some garlic in the mashed potatoes. Where'd the garlic go? Let's see. All right, so I had garlic with a fancy full stem on it, so it made it very easy to break the head apart. But I'm going to just take 2 good cloves of garlic. This is like magic garlic. It self-peels almost. Actually, I'm going to need more garlic later, so we'll just leave 2 out for that. I do have an in-sink disposal, so that is why I'm just dumping the vegetable trash in the sink. All right. Not a fan. I'm going to need another head of garlic. There were 3 good pieces in that one. Is the garlic in here?
Yeah, should be.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Yep, all our fruits and vegetables. There we go. All right, standard white garlic. You probably got to know him yesterday. Whoops. There's a Julia Child moment. Okay, so in this case, I'm actually wanting to boil the garlic in with the potatoes. Some people like putting onions, other people don't put anything. I find mashed potatoes to be actually one of the best things to cook and to eat because they're very versatile. And it's so easy to make really good mashed potatoes, and so many people just don't know how. So that's why I wanted to put this in the first one. One of the main things is just adding flavor. Potatoes have a nice flavor, but by themselves they are a little bit bland. They need butter, they need salt, they need pepper, but most good things do. So all I'm doing is I'm just kind of doing a rough chop, big chunks here. Ugh. I'm not too worried about it being a perfectly minced and even size, because unlike things that I'm cooking on the stove, this is going to be boiling in with the potatoes, and I actually want parts of the garlic to remain when I strain them out. So I want big enough chunks so that they don't fall through whatever the strainer is that I'm using. And let me finish this and then I'll talk about it, because trying to chop and to think seems to be my downfall here, and I would rather keep my fingers intact.
So while you're chopping, I'll drink. Oh!
Or not!
Let's see. Deanna says, Jeremy, I need to hear some Julia Child impersonation. So David, how about that? How about you actually tried that the other night when we watched the Dan Aykroyd video, and I have to say you were pretty good at it. You want to give it a go? Give it a go for Deanna.
Not so much. I'm trying to think. Woo! But really, all I said was, what I said was when we were watching the video of Dan Aykroyd, I was like, oh, I've cut the dickens out of my finger. And that was about it. There you go. So I'm actually going to put garlic in with these potatoes while we wait for the water to go. Just
Deanna's laughing, by the way.
Oh, good. Anyway, so what was I saying I'd come back to? Garlic chopping. Just in general, we have a lot of like time now. I should have made more things.
What about the Brussels sprouts?
So one of the things that I wanted to do or was thinking about was when you're cooking and you want to bring everything together at the same time so that it's ready. I know that the Brussels sprouts, I'm going to prepare them ahead here right now, but I'm not going to cook them until after the potatoes are done, because they should be going on about the same time that I take the chicken out of the oven, because they take 15 or 20 minutes. These are going to cool down the fastest. The chicken's going to be able to retain a lot of heat because of its size. The potatoes, because they're going to be this big mass, are going to be able to retain their heat. But the Brussels sprouts will not. And I don't want to try to keep them for too long and like just keep them as like on the side, keeping them warm, because they'll have a tendency to get soggy. And one of the things I really don't like are soggy Brussels sprouts. Like I said on the recipe, when I was a kid, I was intrigued by Brussels sprouts because of the little cabbage effect, and I would peel them apart and try to eat the leaves, but that was about as good as I could manage with them. And as I became an adult, I realized that there were other ways that you can make Brussels sprouts, and with that I've actually learned to really, really love them and enjoy them. So, you know, that's one of a lot of foods that I used to hate that I like now, and that's really rare.
And that's one of the few vegetables you actually really love.
I do.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got these plastic chopping blocks, and what's nice about it is it's giving. So when I'm cutting, the knife can actually slice the plastic a little bit, and the plastic will give, and not the blade of the knife. If you use a glass chopping surface, what you're doing is you're taking the edge of your knife and you've got a textured hard surface, and you're crunching the edge of your knife against the hard surface, and you're ruining your knife, right? But if you have something, that's why I use wood and I use these plastic ones. If you've got wood, the wood is going to give. You can see like cut marks across the chopping block if I was to hold it up, and this is going to give. And it's a softer surface. You want to cut against a slightly softer surface if possible, so that you can keep everything sharp as long as possible. When you're going through Brussels sprouts, you're going to, if you get them fresh, which is what I recommend, because frozen ones are already partially cooked and they're not going to work right. What we're doing here is just, in this case, I've got very small ones. I'm going to slice them in half, and then any black or blemished bits that concern me, I'm going to just toss away in my Julia Child fashion and just chop. Cut in half because these are small. If these were very large Brussels sprouts, we would cut them in quarters instead of in half, because you want about this much body volume when you're cooking them. So, I was going to say also about the cutting boards. I've got a red one that you saw me use earlier. That one I use only for meat. And I got this green one that I only use for vegetables. And then that way, again, cross-contamination, if I should forget to thoroughly wash something because I'm in a rush, people are around, I'm distracted, I'm never going to introduce bacteria into my things that are going to be lightly cooked that may not cook all the bacteria out. In the case of the, speaking of which, in the case of the Brussels sprouts, they're going to cook, but a lot of times things aren't going to cook hot enough or everywhere to be able to cover for the bacteria. So we've got one chopping block surface for vegetables and one for meat. And what I remember just now is I meant to wash the Brussels sprouts and I had not. Water's boiling. Okay, turn this down to a less furious boil. put in my potatoes and garlic. I'm left in there. And then one thing I did put on the recipe that I do like to do is I like to add a couple peppercorns. You can use ground pepper if you want, but I just like to put a few in just for some extra flavor. It's not going to overwhelm it. It's not going to be overly peppery. But it does add a nice little bit of flavor. See inside my spice closet full of things. Let's see. Wanted to rinse these.
What are your favorite types of spices to use? Incoming text question, by the way.
Oh, text questions. So I like to use, I guess it really depends, but I tend to be very garlic and onion and shallot centric to start with, kind of the standard like French approach, I guess. If I'm making, let's see, for herbs, I really like savory, which is actually its own thing. It's more common here. I've got some ground savory, and I think I've got some. Here's my common stack of spices. Let's find out what I really like. We've got thyme. There's a chicken cooking.
Do you like thyme, for example?
I love thyme. Okay. Alrighty. So this is my main shelf off my spice cabinet. I have powdered onion, granulated onion, and ancho chili powder. It's my favorite type of chili powder. It doesn't have exactly the same flavor as the standard chili powder that I would use in chili. I'll actually buy that for that purpose, but then generally, if I just want to add an interesting flavor that's not too hot, but a little richer, then I'll use this. This is mustard powder, just mustard seeds that have been ground up. This is yellow mustard. Up on the top up there, I've got some darker mustard. Another ancho chili because I use it a lot. This is basil. When I lived in Atlanta, the best farmers market that I've ever been to is in Atlanta, and they've got the spice wall that's about as long as the length of my house, and it's just these tubs of spices. And so when I buy spices in bulk, I just put them back in these same tubs because they're great. This is cumin. This is sweet paprika, so it's not overly hot and it's not smoky, which is fine, except not everything needs smoke. I do have some smoked paprika in there as well. Another thing of ancho chili powder. This is thyme, whole thyme, or thyme leaves, I should say. This I use in most poultry, pork. Don't use it as, actually, you can beef too, just typically on the stick so that you can like pull it back out. Sage. Guess what I have another one of? This is what savory looks like. I might come around the counter and show this a little closer. So this is in front of the counter, David behind the counter. So this is what savory looks like. It's just kind of like a very twiggy feeling kind of herb, but it has a slightly different flavor and smell than does like thyme. And because thyme really had a moment a while back and it was in everything, and this is a way to give a similar type of flavor that's unique and different, and I think it really kind of like spices things up.
Jerry says she loves your show.
Huh?
Jerry says she loves your show.
Oh, okay, so this is savory, but it's been finely ground, so it's a powder. And this is my go-to. I put this in soups and stuff, use this in rubs and things like that. Another cumin. This is sage, so that you can just rub it between your fingers. It's kind of loose chunks of the leaves. I've got some finely ground sage up in the cabinet too for when that's more appropriate. Oregano, cayenne pepper, when you want a little heat but you don't want everything to taste like chilies or jalapenos, it's a great option, and oregano. So these are my core spices. Is everybody bored out of their mind?
No. I actually love listening to you talk about spices. I find it soothing as well.
Do you?
Yeah, very comforting.
And then I also have these Szechuan peppercorns. Here,
I love those things, by the way.
Come back around. So it's not a true pepper in the nature of like black pepper that you would grind in a grinder. They're just these little pods. Of course, whoops.
It looks good, you can see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. They actually have a very floral, citrusy flavor to them that's very pleasant. And then they get really spicy. And it's one of the more interesting and fun little ways to add a kick that makes something taste a little different, a little interesting. Because a lot of cooking is experimenting. Let's see, I turned the potatoes down so much that they were off. All right. So while we wait for the chicken to get to its like 30-minute mark, we'll just keep chopping Brussels sprouts, taking off the little black bits. I could be a little faster, but why rush? Therapeutic and fun to cook sometimes, and not having to race to this, at this point to get everything on the plate. Right now we've got time to have fun and enjoy it.
Sean says cooking nuggets are being dropped and she needs to take notes.
Oh,
And then Deanna says, is that for rabbits?
for rabbits?
Yes.
Well, rabbits could eat them probably, but... Oh, I don't know if you just heard it, but the timer went off. It's time to flip the chicken. All right, let's see. I'm going to put the pot on the back of this, just so that we can have it out here. I've got tongs. I got the brand new...
So someone said, Brussels sprouts are my low-key favorite vegetables. Stroker Ace78 said that. I'm not sure who that is.
Neither do I.
Oh, and it says it's Brad, BTW.
Oh, hey Brad! Drop in new recipes on your...
And Jerry said, hey, next time let's have David send out ingredients and supply lists ahead of time so we can cook along with him while drinking.
Yes.
Love this.
Yes, that's the plan. All right.
Jerry, great idea. That's David's idea too.
Okay.
And Jim Kroll said, genius, Jerry. So they both agree that that's a good idea.
All right, here's our little guy. Can you see the little string? So, what I'm going to do is I want to flip him, and I know where the cavity is, so I'm just putting it in with my tongs and giving it a turn. That's really it. There are other methods of making roast chicken to where you like cook it on the right side for 15 or 20 minutes and cook it on the left side for 15 or 20 minutes and then put it pressed up. He's got little stripes because of the wire rack I have it on. Those will mostly go away. If you just put it in the bottom of the pan, you won't get that. It's fine. It's a preference.
Sean says you're flipping the bird, literally.
Yes. All right. So, let's see, that was 30 minutes, believe it or not. And now, let's see, I calculated an hour and 15. So let's put it on for another. What is that, Josh?
Josh will know. That's another 45 minutes, baby.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, we should have asked Josh, actually. You're right. So by the way, not only did Jerry and Kroll say that it would be a good idea for you to have your ingredient supply list ahead of time, Deanna said so too.
Yes. I will plan to do this on the next broadcast. I just need to figure out what I want to cook. And that's one of the things that I'm looking for is, in this, I was thinking it would be great fun to do a recipe I've never done before from a recipe. So if there's something that you've been really wanting to try, but you haven't necessarily felt confident enough to give it a go, let me know, and if we can find the ingredients for it locally, we'll give it a shot. So I want to bring things that I normally do that I really love, but I also want to try to make things that would interest people who are watching, and then do it according to the recipe, see how it turns out, and then think, is this what I would really love and what I would want?
Yeah.
And then if it is, then that's great, and if not, then maybe in a week or two after that, probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks, we'll make it again, but I'll do it the way that I would envision or dream of doing the same thing.
One of the great things about David as a cook, I'll just say, because I've been the recipient of this, is like he can cook pretty much anything, even things he doesn't necessarily like. For example, he doesn't like fish or seafood, he won't eat it, but he cooks it for me all the time, and he cooks it amazingly, so he's really adept.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of cooking is a matter of learning how flavors fit together and knowing that if I'm going to do one thing or another, what spices are going to go with it or what's going to go good as a dish to go with it. So when I'm prepping these Brussels sprouts, I am peeling off any leaves that have any dark spots on it that bother me. But also, when you get Brussels sprouts, the little stem bit where it was cut off from the plant, those can like desiccate and turn brown. I'm not a huge fan of the of eating it, because it can like be scratchy and texturally different than the rest of the dish, and not necessarily in a good way. So I am slicing the little tips off of them as well. One of the things that you'll have happen, like just happened here, have this little piece of leaf, keep it. As long as it's not browned or damaged, just add it to the mix, because the way we're cooking them is we're going to fry the Brussels sprouts, and with that it's going to, we're going to, what's the right word? We're going to want some of it to caramelize, and the little flyaway leaves like caramelize and they add texture, so you've got the body of the Brussels sprout, which is going to be firmer, and then you have the little pieces of leaves and the external bits that are going to be crunchier, but not scratchy, which is what I'm trying to get rid of by cutting the ends off, is this kind of scratchy feeling bits. But it'll add more texture and fun to the dish in the end.
Deanna just heard the sirens outside of our house and said, oh God, someone must have went out of quarantine. Actually, Deanna, just so you know, I went walking around this morning just to get out of the apartment a little bit. There's like,
to look for alcohol.
To look for alcohol, that's right. And you know, everything's boarded up, and I'll send you a video here in a bit, but everything's boarded up and there are hardly no people out and about, and when we go out, you don't see anybody, and it's been very depressing for like 6 weeks. But hold on, because Carrie says, what is something that you've never cooked that you've always wanted to cook? I think you've cooked everything.
Everything? So this is the way I am. Jeremy can attest to it. It's like one day I decided I wanted caramel, and I'd never made it. So I went into the kitchen and I just made caramel.
Now he makes amazing caramels that have a special little ingredient to them.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Your father wants to know, have you ever cooked goose? Oh, has he ever cooked his goose?
I have not cooked goose, but I have cooked duck, and that's one of my favorite things. One of the things that I've been looking here for is like bulk duck fat, so that I can make duck confit.
Yeah, actually, David makes really, really good duck confit, by the way.
But the hard part is, in Atlanta, at that great farmer's market, you could go in and buy bulk fat, and then you could render it yourself. So it's like, you know, it's like $1.50 a pound. You could buy a few pounds of it, and you could make like a massive amount. So that way, if you wanted to cook a lot of duck or poultry at once, you could do it. The way confit works is you take your poultry or whatever it is, but in this case duck, put it in a bread pan, and then you cover it entirely with the fat, duck fat, so that it's submerged, and you put spices and aromatics in with it, and then you cook it in the oven for a very long time, very slowly. Comes out, it's super, super delectable.
And by the way, you've got some fans of your caramels. Kroll, Jerry, Carrie all said, Kroll, Jerry, Carrie. I like that. They should be a girl band.
Yeah.
Kroll, Carrie, Jerry all said that you have the best caramels ever and that it's a good side hustle. Jerry says, because you and Jerry are so the same in terms of like your fiscal minded responsibility, that this could be a great side hustle idea for you.
Yeah. So let's see, we got 45 minutes. I'm actually now being tempted to make caramel.
Hold on. Back to your earlier question about some things that people might want to try with you.
Yeah.
Kroll said, how about beef Wellington?
Yes.
And Brad says, what about General So's spatchcock chicken?
Spatchcock chicken? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a way of like,
What is spatchcock chicken
is a way of like taking a whole chicken and cutting it so it lays flat, but it's still, all the bones are intact. And then cooking it that way.
Kroll I'm going to have a hard time getting through this one, Kroll. Kroll says she would pay for your caramels if someone would mail them to her.
So the inside joke is she's wanted caramels from here, and so has Abby and a number of other people. So I've made them a number of times, and then we eat them all and we don't send them to our friends.
And it's because I'm bad about mailing things. So it's not, so I want to take the blame for this, you guys. It's not because David doesn't have good intentions. He actually does it, and then I just eat them all. So I'm a bad friend, so I apologize. But Kroll, one day you'll get some caramels, but I wouldn't hold my breath, babe.
Well, a pound of Brussels sprouts takes a while, but you know, it's been good. Yes.
Oh, Lance says he has 2 batches of your caramels and needs to get on them.
Oh.
Poor Kroll. Oh, Kroll has no caramels. Lance has 2 batches of them just hanging out with him. Kroll has none. Lance has 2 whole batches.
Whole.
And Jeremy wants, so Kroll says Jeremy's allergic to the post office. That is true, Kroll. That is very true. I don't go into Gen Pop.
General population. I was like, what? Okay.
Lance says he likes your caramels right when they're out of the fridge. I agree. They're good when they're cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The main thing, if you do eat caramel, is you want to store them in an airtight container. That's why when you buy like the little craft caramels, they're individually wrapped in plastic to keep them airtight, because the sugar is philic, which means that it draws moisture in. So the candies will draw in moisture, and then the texture changes and they get kind of like crumbly and yucky. So if you ever do make candy, take the extra step of sealing them, put them in a little like Tupperware or something that's airtight after you've like wrapped them, and they'll last a really long time.
Lance says he crushes them up and puts them on his ice cream. That's a great idea, by the way. And Kroll says she's giving us all her fingers. And by the way, I just want to ask a quick question because today's a little test run for David. How can you guys hear us okay? Can you hear David okay? I know we have the stuff on the screen we got to get rid of in terms of the camera controls, but can you guys hear David okay? Can you hear me okay?
How's the color on the...
Does the color look okay? Let us know. Yeah. Jerry says, don't be like Jake and fly with 30 of your caramels in your bag through airport security. Jerry, just so you know, every time I fly, I take David's candies with me. So, there's that. Lance says the color could be punched up a bit, but
Okay.
and everybody says that you look a little washed out. Kroll said the same thing, but apparently you guys can hear us both pretty good. Can you hear one person hot better than another? Lance says everybody sounds good. Okay, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, maybe that'll help with a little bit of the color.
Jerry says yes, she wants you to show off the color in those tats, but the sound is good.
Is this better?
How about this better for color, guys? What do you think about this? David bought like real studio lights, you guys, so he wants to make sure they work well.
Might need more of them, but...
You might need some more, but yeah, let us know. Is this better? Lance says yes, this is better.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Lance.
When I put the lights away, I knocked the temperature control on one of them. They go from a bright white to kind of a sunny yellowy color, and we want it a little bit in the middle. So, thank you.
Your dad says better, Kroll says better, Carrie says better.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't talk about it, but what I'm doing is I'm going to chop a shallot, and I love shallots. Here, I'll get a fresh, well, you can get an idea of what a shallot looks like here, because there's one. They kind of have a coppery, oniony paper skin on them, which you take off. And on the inside, they're kind of a cool pink, purpley color.
Your father says your face looks more orange than before. He used a different word than orange, but I dare not speak that word aloud. It starts with a T.
Do I look jaundiced? Is it too yellow? I can warm it back up a little bit. Put it in the middle.
All right,
Did I
gang.
do too much?
What do you think about this? Is that better? Worse? Your dad said no. No.
Worse? Better? What's no mean?
I don't know. What does no mean?
Is he typing? Do you want to do the dial? It's the one on the left side.
Does up make it? What does up do?
See is the number up top?
Yeah, changing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's, okay, let's try that. How
Okay.
does that look?
Angel's talking about some kind of setting that I have no idea what it means. So we'll deal with it later.
Angel, we'll connect up after this and we'll work on improving the color quality.
Yeah, Roddy says this is the best yet.
Oh, okay, good. Maybe we'll just do some like settings tests later in the day.
Yeah.
And if you're free, you can help us look at it. So what I've done is I just wanted to check the mashed potatoes. If you can spear a potato without any effort and the knife goes right into it, you're done. So these are all good. So we'll just let the Brussels sprouts wait a moment. Actually, now that I pulled it out, let's see. What are you doing?
Jeremy reveal.
Oh, is that what's going on?
Hi, Roddy. How's it going? What's up? You like my sunglasses? Or refuse to take them off? Hope everyone's doing well.
All right. Set this up here for a moment.
Tiffany's on.
Sorry, just for hot things. Huh?
Tiffany's on. She says,
Hey,
hey.
Tiffany. All right, so here's our boiled potatoes with chunks of garlic in it.
Sean says, please make your Neapolitan pasta someday.
Okay.
I agree, Sean. That's very good.
All right, so to this,
Roddy agrees that it's very good.
we shall be adding habitually, just anytime I open a milk product, I make sure that it's good before I use it. It looks funny, but it's a really smart habit. So we're gonna just put in some cream.
Kroll wants to know, hey, she missed the garlic part, so how much do you put in potatoes and how finely did you chop it?
I can show you how finely I chopped it when I get to start chopping for the Brussels sprouts, but I use 2 cloves. And today the white cheese that I have is actually Parmesan because that's what I have in the kitchen. So we're going to put that in. Any white cheese, you can use orange cheese too, but it'll make your mashed potatoes orange. But go ahead.
Oh, Brucey's on too.
Hey!
So Tiffany says she seconds the idea for pasta, by the way, but Brucey said there's a glare, by the way. So just so you know, Brucey, we know that. That's actually a light. David got real fancy studio lights and everything. So that's a glare from a light. We know it's there. We're going to figure it out later, but thank you.
Yeah, on the back splash?
No, it's up on the cabinet. Right above where the, yeah, there you go, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But thanks, yeah.
Yeah.
There are some glare situations that will work out, but yes, thank you.
All right, and I'm going to put in some butter over here. I'm going to actually put in about 1/4 of a cup for this much potatoes. Because butter is like bacon. Almost everything's better with more of it.
Kroll says, throw that whole stick in.
Well, I ended up putting all of that stick that I had in my hand in.
Jerry says, butter.
Butter.
And yes, the whole stick.
All right, so I did one little quick round of smashing, and there's not enough liquid in there. I didn't think there would be.
Tiffany says, yes, all the butter.
All the butter. And the beauty, I use like heavy cream, which is what butter's made from, so
it's extra.
right? Okay. Yes, I licked my finger, but I won't be putting it in the food. Okay. One of the things I put in the recipe is it is better to start with a less amount of liquid in your potatoes than you think you're going to need, because it's really hard once you've mashed the potatoes to get the liquid back out. It's better to add slowly and then go from there. All right, so here we go. In process. Just give it another quick little stir. I like rustic potatoes. I don't want them perfectly smooth. You could use like a food mill, which I have in the cupboard if you want them, or a ricer if you want to make them really fine. But I like the texture of my mashed potatoes a little bit. What can I say? It's not gravy, it's potatoes. Meaning that, lumps in your gravy, not so awesome. Lumps in your potato. Oh, I've got real potatoes and I haven't gone and used like a box of flakes and potato starch, which is fine if that's what you have to use. But if you have the opportunity to make them, better to make them this way. So I want to taste them real quickly. See how much salt and pepper, we cut that out, are going to be needed. Where did I put my pepper? So here's our potatoes. Going to give it a, oh, we're out of pepper. We will go to traditional pepper. I'm going to do this by hand because I'm afraid to pour things directly over.
Do you want me to put more pepper in the pepper grinder, babe?
What I'm doing, because I don't want to try to pour directly into the pot, because if I do this and I'm trying and something startles me and I dump it all in, then I have a mess that I have to like pick out. It's easier to just add it in a controlled way. And then add some salt.
Bruzy says, gimme.
Of course, what I really want is that potato masher I just put up. I'll just stir it in. Yay, there we go. Smashed potatoes. Let's see. You want to try them, Jeremy?
I'd love to.
Maybe more salt or pepper?
Maybe a little bit more pepper.
That's what I was thinking.
But I tend to always want a lot of pepper.
Me too. Whoops. How's Josh doing? Any questions, buddy?
Well, actually, let's see. Brad says Amelia would like some gourmet baby foods from Chef Spake, please.
Okay.
And Penny, by the way, texted me and said that she would love to see you make a spaghetti squash with meat sauce. And by the way, Penny, that is one of my favorite things that David actually does make. He makes it really well, and it's wonderful.
Yes, we can do that. We can even maybe do the Neapolitan sauce.
With a spaghetti squash?
Yeah, but if we want to make meat, anyway, yes, we'll work it out. There's lots of options with pasta sauces, so.
Also, Carrie wants to know, what's the best meal that you've ever had? Hashtag tell me a story, which is my favorite thing to say.
Well, I should let Jeremy talk about it, but he's a better storyteller than I am. I think really, the very first time I made the white wine coq au vin that I made.
It's his own cooking. His favorite meal is his own cooking. I can just point that out. It's true though, it is. Anyway, go ahead, babe.
Yeah, so it's just a slow braised chicken in a dry white wine, like a Riesling, that you just cook it for a long time on the stove and then a little bit of cognac. And I'm not that great at describing it. Jeremy's going to be better. But it is the single best meal I've had. I made some for Gia when she got hurt a while back so that she could have some food. And when I did, I ate a bite of it and I put it in my mouth, froze, and almost dropped the fork on the floor.
This is a true story and this requires an intervention. Okay, so let me just settle in here, kids. Let's all settle up. Let me tell you the story. So I'd been traveling for a long time for work. I'd come home, David had prepared, he's like, I'm gonna make you a good meal. I sit down, he stands up and goes, oh my God. Oh my God. And you all know David, not the most expressive person in the world, certainly doesn't like to show emotion regularly. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Keep saying, won't stop. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong, babe? Are you okay? Oh my God. I'm thinking he's hurt and I'm tired. I've been like gone for 2 weeks or something. He won't stop saying, oh my God, and just standing there doing this. And I'm thinking something's hurt. Oh, this is just so good. It was him talking about the dinner that he made.
Yeah.
It's true story. So his favorite meal really is his own cooking. But I think what Carrie meant, David, probably what Carrie was trying to get to was, what's the best meal maybe you've had out at a restaurant or someone else cook for you? How about try that answer?
I'm thinking, I think probably the best meal that I've had is, wow, that's hard. It's almost guaranteed. It would be a dry-aged ribeye or other steak at a fancy restaurant at Bateau or at Rathman's in Atlanta, if you live in Atlanta. Rathman's steak. Excellent.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
No,
It
yeah,
really is.
yeah. I think that your cooking really is your favorite meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rathman's is great, right? I mean, you typically love a steak.
I do.
I think a steak is maybe your favorite meal.
It is, and that's what astounds me about the chicken dish, is that the best thing I've ever had is not steak.
Huh.
Even though steak is otherwise my favorite thing to eat. Yeah.
Oh, so Jerry just says, how about, and just no cilantro, because David does hate cilantro.
Yeah, cilantro is, I'm one of that 14% for whom cilantro tastes like a metallic soap. Yes.
Like even a little bit of cilantro, like
It's disgusting.
Ruins it for you.
Yep. You know, it's just how much soap can you put in your food and have it still taste good? Why would you put any?
Lance wants to know, Brad says, the girls say hello and love y'all very much.
Hey.
And that Josh says that they've finished their calzones.
Oh, good. What did they put in them? Were they traditional? Did you put a ricotta inside with a chocolate sauce? Or what did you make in your calzones? Oh, no, that's pizzas.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of cannoli.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whoops.
calzones are like, those
Folded
like
pizzas.
a pizza burrito almost.
Yeah. Pizzeritos.
Pizzeritos. So Jerry said hashtag Spake and steak, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought of that before. And then also, it looks like Angel and Brad also hate cilantro just like you.
Oh, good. Yay, team. All right, so I just took that. I had a rather large shallot. I just chopped it roughly. Here's a piece of white garlic. One of the big things that people always struggle with is peeling garlic. There's lots of theories. You'll see like things on YouTube where they hit it with a knife and then pop them right out. That really doesn't work that well unless you've like tricked your garlic before you start. I typically take it because most of the time if I'm using a clove of garlic, I am not needing it to retain its full shape and it doesn't need to look like a piece of garlic. So I'll take the garlic, I'll cut the root end off a little bit, just like I did with the Brussels sprouts. Flat blade of the knife, squish it, and it just breaks right out of the peel. So that's the way I do it. So what we want to do here for the Brussels sprouts though, is we want to make the garlic smaller than I made it for the potatoes. When I did the potatoes, I did chunks. So I did a chop so that it's like that thick. And then roughly chopped it about the same way the other way, like this. It was large and irregular and it was fine because I knew that when I was done with it I'd be smashing all the potatoes and I'd be able to mix it in. But in this case I want to more finely cut the garlic. When you slice, if you have a sharp knife, you don't hold like this because you're going to get your fingertips. You want to curl your fingertips in and use your knuckle like this so that your slicing is not near the tip of your finger or your fingernail and you're just holding the edge of the food with your fingertip. Remember that way you can get a lot closer. You don't have to worry about hurting yourself. And then I'm going to, in this case, just mince it. I would normally have started and done it a little more carefully, but I was trying to show the difference in the sizes.
Maybe move the chopping block over towards the sink a little bit more because one of the camera icons I think is blocking it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's better. Also, Charmin in Alaska texted.
Hey, cousin.
And she said, hey, lazy Alaskans just tuning in. We forgot what day it is. Haha.
How you guys doing? We'll have to like get your dad like online at some point. Let him watch.
Uncle Chan.
All right. So in this, I like to have more of a puree with my garlic. And when you'll notice that it's kind of like falling apart and like chasing it around the chopping block a little bit. So one of the things that I do is I'm going to actually press the garlic, but first I am going to put a little drop of oil on it because this garlic when it's fresh is very moist, and when it gets a little older, and it is a root vegetable, they last for a very long time. But when they get older, they get a little drier, which can make it a little harder to chop. Get out of here, fly. So I'm going to just put a couple drops of oil over the top to hold it together and to kind of lubricate the mess. All right. And once they're all in it, doesn't like jump away as much because of the binding property of the oil. And then I'm actually going to pressing down on the knife, and drag the knife across the little chunks to further break the fibers of the garlic down a little bit. And then now it's like stuck to the chopping block, so I can really mince through it if I want, and not have to worry about the little cubes of garlic jumping around as much. I stay put. Alrighty. See if I can get this to work right. So, for the Brussels sprouts, we have 2 cloves of garlic, 1 large shallot, a pound of Brussels sprouts in this case. And then we're going to start by putting the pan on, medium high, and we're going to get that hot. Don't want the Brussels sprouts to just sit in an oil bath cold, so we'll get it hot first and then we'll add the Brussels sprouts in a second. I always try to wash my knives so that when I need to go back to them, they'll be clean and ready, and I don't end up with stuff stuck to the blades. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, Carrie wants to know if you make homemade pizza. She gave up bread and dairy for Lent, and she wants to hear about some food porn right now.
I have in the past made it before. Made you once one like a French style kind of leaf looking pizza.
Yeah, that was good. I remember that.
It had anchovies on it,
Yeah,
and tomatoes and stuff.
was...
It was really good.
Oh, why haven't you made that again?
We'll give that a try maybe in a couple of weeks.
I do love anchovies.
Yeah. One of the things I have been playing around with lately is like sourdough. So, you know, lots of people are making sourdough bread and stuff, but it's fun. It's really easy. If you have flour, you don't have to have yeast to be able to do sourdough. It's not necessary. It does take a couple days to get things going, but it works real well. And if you have gluten issues, if you do the slow raise process for making sourdough bread, the process basically, it takes 2 days to end up with a loaf of bread, but at the end most people who are gluten sensitive can eat it. If you're truly, like if you have true celiac disease and stuff, then probably not, but there is a way to make a gluten-free sourdough bread that my boss at work, whose child has celiac and she's intolerant, was asking me about if I'd ever done anything, and I haven't, but it's something that would be interesting to try. So maybe we'll give that a go here soon. So we need a pan. non-stick skillet. Put it on medium. Potatoes are nice because they're in a big mess and they retain their heat, so we could wrap it in dish towels or something if we wanted to add some insulation if it was going to be a while. Get it up off of the glass that's going to conduct heat. Place it on something like one of the chopping boards because the wood is a great insulator, and that will help the pot retain heat. So let's see.
Well, I think Lauren O'Keefe might be watching because I think she just might have accidentally butt dialed me because she immediately hung up.
Oh, hey Lauren. All right, so I'm going to be using sesame oil. This is a light sesame. You can get like toasted sesame, and it's the one that's got a very distinct and strong flavor. The light sesame oil is much more mild, and I think it lends itself better to things that are not necessarily like what you think of as stereotypical Asian flavor.
Yeah, side note, I love that oil.
Yeah.
It's really good. Carrie wants to know what would you suggest that they eat tomorrow for their first meal with bread and dairy? Because tomorrow's Easter and they get to go back.
Huh. What would...
Pizza. Pizza.
Right? Yeah, pizza would work.
Pizza.
Because you've got cheese on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could make, white pizzas. You could make tomato sauce pizzas. You can make pizzas with no sauce and just like olive oil and toppings, depending on what you can manage.
She also used the hashtag WWDD as in what would David do. So I'm curious, but I think that you should describe them. I already know what the answer to this is, but describe to them what your favorite pizza is.
Oh, my favorite pizza is a very thin crust with pepperoni, lots of pepperoni, like a spicy chicken sausage maybe, an Italian sausage, a really unhealthy amount of bacon, cheese, and some like red pepper flakes actually.
Yeah, but basically meat centric. I mean, David's a meat centric
really,
person.
Yeah. If I have my way, protein is the star of every meal. I could go a very long time without starch, but I get unhappy if I don't have protein.
Yeah, true.
It's what my body needs. I guess that's part of it, is learning what you actually need and not trying to be concerned with, oh my God, this is a healthy food and this is an unhealthy food. That's one of my mantra talking points or annoying things. Is
David hates a fad diet.
I do. And I don't think there's such thing as a unhealthy food.
Agreed.
There's a food with more nutrition and there's a food with less nutrition. But food itself is either nutritious or not nutritious. All of the rest, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Agreed.
Right? So, let's see. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the Brussels sprouts, the word I can't remember, and we're going to put them in the pan. I've been heating, I don't know if you remember, I took pan on a bit ago. We'll put in some of the oil.
Tiffany's going to get cookies. She'll be right back.
Have fun!
And also Brad said you're checking a lot of his boxes on his pizza checklist, by the way. Because I think that you two have similar tastes in that regard.
Yes, our food aesthetic.
Oh, and also Lance said that you would start your day with French toast, and that is exactly true. If you were to have to not have bread if you were to give up bread for Lent, for example,
yes,
your first meal would be absolutely your first meal.
French toast,
yeah.
Bacon and eggs. That is my standard. That's my standard weekend meal. If we go out to eat, back when we could do those things. We had a great diner around the corner. And I would go, and I went there so often and ordered the same thing that when I sit down to order, she says, the usual? Do you want extra bacon or no extra bacon? And that's really the way it goes. So it's like 2 full pieces of French toast,
Oh, and
3 eggs,
Kroll will love this.
and 10 pieces of bacon.
And Kroll will love this. You give the server there that we always go to, her name is
Kara!
Ashley, yeah. You give her caramels all the time, but of course can't seem to make their way to Kroll, can they? And Kroll says the silver skillet. Hey Kroll, no. No, the silver skillet was, yes, that diner, we took you there. That was at our old apartment. This is, we're talking about at the new apartment that you've been to as well. It's called Planet Java. You've not been to the diner that we're talking about, but yes, silver skillet is also awesome.
Yeah. So I do want to point out here about the pan. So I put the oil in, and when you first put oil into a cold pan, it doesn't run very well. It's thick and it stays together. But as it gets hot, the oil begins to run or shimmer, and that's when you're about ready to begin cooking. We're going to put in the Brussels sprouts. Ooh, listen to the sound of frying greens. Pepper. Start light. You can always add more later. And I'm also going to put in now the shallots, but not the garlic. The garlic has a tendency to burn, and this needs to cook for probably 15 or 20 minutes for even to get to the final state. So I would hold up on the garlic a little bit until, otherwise the garlic will just burn, and that's not as fun. What's going on?
Oh, Roddy says that you should invent Captain Crunch French toast.
I could.
Wait, I feel like there's a reason that he said that though. Is there a story here? Do you love Captain Crunch?
Oh, I love Captain Crunch.
You never buy Captain Crunch.
What?
I've never seen you eat Captain Crunch.
What do you mean?
Well then.
I just added a little more oil. All right, so really, I don't want to overmix it. The idea is that you want to brown very dark brown, not quite burned to a crisp, but you do want, maybe when you're doing Brussels sprouts this way, you want it to be darker than you initially probably were comfortable trying to do. As long as you don't actually turn it into charcoal, the flavor is improved greatly by some well-cooked bits. All right, so while these are going, I wanted to check on the chicken because our time is up in 2 minutes, but just want to check it out really quickly. One of the things that you can do when you're doing it, I always do it on the backside for pots and pans. That way if I burn the wood, it's not visible to the rest of the world. When you're doing chicken, and you're roasting chicken, the best thing, or even better than time, or just counting how long the time needs to be, is, sorry, too many things happening, is you really want to...
You're doing great, babe. Nailing it.
There we go. Now it's going to start smelling good in here.
It does smell good in here, by the way.
Anyway, so what I was trying to get to with the chicken. When you are working with a roasted chicken, one of the best ways to tell if it's done is if the leg pulls free easily when you test it. You can also use a thermometer, and if you do, you want to get your chicken, you want to place it in a solid meat portion, so like in the breast, you don't want to like get the thermometer to touch the bone, so it needs to stay just in the flesh because that's what you're measuring the temperature of, and you need to get to 165 degrees internal temperature. And when you take the thermometer out, some juice is going to come out. If the juice is perfectly clear, then you're good. If the juice, if it's pink or more red than that, you're not done. Just put it back in the oven.
Look at him flip those Brussels sprouts.
Flip them sprouts.
Such skill.
Oh no, did I turn this off earlier? Because it's not 400 degrees. I might have accidentally turned the oven off at some point. Oh me? Yes, so it's not done, but we can get a look for. Here's our roasting chicken. We'll just give it a test just to see how we're looking. Not as bad as I was afraid of. I do have the thermometer somewhere. There we go. So we shall hot pot. Don't burn yourself. We'll just stick it in and we'll look at the temperature. How are we doing? So we've got 140. Great. So I did accidentally turn off the oven at some point. We'll just put it back in. This time actually, because I want the skin to brown, I'm going to put it in for like this last 15 minutes, uncovered so that the heat will get to it, the skin will dry up and get crispy, which is something most people really like. So we'll do that.
David, Carrie says that when everything clears, they want, her and her sister want you to come cook with them in their kitchen. Okay. And then I can provide drinks, entertainment, and I say mission accepted, my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Carrie says, or we'll come to Seattle, and I say either or, ladies. How about both? How about both?
Why choose?
Why choose? Always choose yes. The answer should always be, the answer to every question should always be yes. Yes and.
Yes. So in a better world, I would have checked the chicken before I put the Brussels sprouts on. But they're basically, you know, kind of done. The chicken is not. So I will just keep turning them. But here's what we see with our Brussels sprouts.
Oh, those look great.
See all the little dark bits? That's on purpose. That's really what you're after. So I'm going to put the lid on it, let them off, set them off to the side, and just let it rest and keep the heat inside. So now we have an unplanned 15 or 20 minutes. What should I do? Should I make some caramel?
I think that you should make some caramel. I would love for you to make some caramel. And you know what we'll do? Not send it to Kroll. Has she typed back yet? No. Jerry says she loves Brussels sprouts. And then Lance says, not sure if I missed it or not, but would love you to teach him to make a steak on a stovetop oven.
Oh, sure. We can do steak sometime. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Steak is super easy.
Sean says you should make a custom cocktail. Hey, thanks for rubbing that in, Sean. You know what? We can have some wine, babe.
We could.
Let's have some wine.
Let's do it. You want me to open it? I'll open it.
I sure do want you to.
You want to find the glasses? Let's see.
I will find the glasses, yes. I will do that.
What should we do? We have Chateau Saint Michel.
One. Kroll said that she told me 2 hours ago to have some damn wine, and I agree, Kroll. I'm a really bad slow adopter. I'm a bad learner. You know, I'm stubborn.
Cabernet.
Sure, babe. Yeah, I'll get us some glasses. So, we will have some wine, friends.
So we have a lovely Lazy Bones Cab Franc. Well, I think Julia gave this to us.
I think so.
Thank you, Julia, if you're watching. What time is it? I'm totally not even keeping track of time.
It is 1 p.m.
Oh, not bad.
12:56 exactly.
You know when you smell the cork, really what you're looking for is to make sure it doesn't smell like vinegar.
Kroll. Jerry wanted to remind me that malt liquor cocktail from the 7-Eleven would be a good thing, but this show, apparently, according to Carrie, Carrie Lehman says, I'm going to go ahead and try this in my best Stefan voice. This show has everything. A hot chef with amazing tattoos, a weird kid in Cobain sunglasses, tips on slicing a shallot, and the hottest trussed-up chicken I've ever seen.
This one's for me. This one's for Jeremy.
Yeah, babe. Thank you. Cheers, friends.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Even aerated, that's a really great wine.
It is good.
Very drinkable and kind of dangerous because it's very drinkable.
Deanna says cheers.
Cheers.
Carrie says cheers.
We could have had a drinking game about everybody drink every time Jeremy complains about not having one. So ketchup.
That would be dangerous, by the way. Sean says cheers as well. And Jerry says eyes, eyes, eyes.
Eyes.
Eyes, 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 eyes. So tell everybody about the eyes thing.
Well, this is something that comes from your side of the world. So we have a friend who is a wine aficionado. She loves it. But she thinks that when you cheers, you look everybody in the eyes so that you don't have bad luck.
Yeah.
And you acknowledge the people that you're drinking with, that you're enjoying your time with, intentionally. And actually, I don't think that's a terrible idea.
I agree.
Eyes.
Eyes.
All right. So I guess I'm going to make some caramel.
Perfect. Lucky me, poor Kroll. Deanna says she's having some iced coffee. And both Deanna and Carrie agree that they like the eyes thing.
All right. Caramel is super easy. We'll just get the measuring cups out. We're going to start with 1.5 cups to 2 cups of sugar. Unlike a lot of baking, you've got a lot of flexibility with this. So if you get a little too much moisture or a little too much sugar, it's fine. One of the keys to caramel texture is actually corn syrup. This is not high fructose corn syrup. This is the other kind of corn syrup that is not chemically processed to produce an out of balance sweetness and the other inherent issues that you have with corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup. It's not the same thing. So we're going to put in,
Deanna wants to know, is it non-GMO?
this one is, the sugar is non-GMO. This one is probably GMO, but I don't have an option to get around it. But you can make your own corn syrup if you want to get really crafty. You buy a bunch of ears of corn, get rid of all of the leaves, chop them into little like half-inch like wheels, and put them in a pot, and then slowly boil them for hours and hours and hours until the sugars can come out, the starches turn into sugars, and then you like filter out your corn. But anyway, we'll do just about a quarter cup.
Jerry says, Karo syrup, remember that? Back in the 1950s, doctors told parents to put that in baby bottles.
Yeah, because it was a highly digestible and a bioavailable sugar, and if your baby needs energy, you needed energy, it would work.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm going to put in an equal amount of warm water. So this is going to be what's called a wet sand type of caramel, because I like caramel that you can, that's chewy. So it's actually going to be a milk or a cream caramel. But a wet sand means that I'm adding water to start. You can make caramel, like if you watch the Great British Baking Show, they always just start with a bowl of just sugar. And what we're going to do is, let me get I got a little kitchen basting brush. I'm going to first mix up the sugar, the water, and the corn syrup until the sugar is all basically dampened. But what makes caramel fail is when you get sugar crystals like here. I don't know if you can really see here, but there's sugar crystals up the edge of the pan. That's what makes caramel crystallize or bind or not work. So first, I get all of my sugar wet, because wet sand, the sugar's the sand, get it? And I'm going to just take a little bit of water here on the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pastry brush, you can use a paper towel if you need to, and wash the sugar crystals off the side of the pan. It's going to add a little more water, and that's fine because we're going to be boiling the bejesus out of this anyway. And the extra moisture will just evaporate. It'll just make it take a minute longer. So once I've got all of the crystals washed down, I'm going to take my sugar and place it on the stove. Another thing you can do is if you have a pot with a lid, put it on because there's moisture in it, steam's going to come up, and what's going to happen is the steam will condensate and capture on the top of the lid, and then it will actually run down the lid and down the sides of the pan and rinse those crystals back off kind of naturally, so you don't have to be like, oh my god, there's a crystal and it's going to be ruined. You can work around it. Now that I have it on the heat, I'm not really going to touch it until we get to temperature. So I'm going to get my thermometer out. The one thing you do need for candy to be able to do it is a candy thermometer. The target temperature for this is hardball stage, or right between, so like 240.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. That's a specific candy thermometer?
Yes.
Those things exist, like, okay.
Yeah. So it's got a little bracket that's going to anchor on the side of the pan. I'm putting this backwards, for example's sake. And this way, I can gauge the end of the thermometer, how far it is from the bottom.
How long have we had this?
Forever. Main thing is you want the probe of the thermometer to be in the sugar, but not touching the bottom of the pan, because the pan is going to be conducting heat off the burner, And what you really care about is the temperature of the sugar, not the temperature of the bottom of the pan. So we'll put this guy in here. Get it propped up a little. So we want 243 is our final destination temperature. But at this stage, we're doing a 2-stage caramel, or I am, because it's a little more foolproof. I'm going to bring it up and bring the temperature above my target temperature. And while this is starting to cook, I'm going to heat up a cup of cream.
Zmaster01 says, just the tip. I'm not sure who that is. Identify yourself.
So I'm going to want about a cup of cream. I'm using the rest of the cream that I didn't use in the mashed potatoes because I happen to have cream for the mashed potatoes. And then into this, we are going to put 4 tablespoons of butter.
Kroll says, even I knew about the candy thermometer.
Put that guy on the heat back here to warm up. I don't want to boil the cream, I just want to bring it up to like more than room temperature but less than boiling. I don't need to scald it. It doesn't need anything like that. I just want it warm so that when I add it to the sugar at a later point, the temperatures aren't so far apart that the candy then has to take an extra 20 minutes to get back to temperature to boil down. So, all right. It's already started to bubble a little. So while this is going, let's see.
Carrie says that they may make macaroons tomorrow. Have you ever made them? And Carrie, I'm so glad you asked this question. This is a particular interesting response you're about to get.
No, but I'm wanting to.
And why do you want to so badly, David?
Because I never have?
No, because you're so mad about how much they cost.
Well, that's true.
So Carrie, I don't know if you remember this, but when you were here visiting us last summer, around the corner from our apartment, there is actually a place where you can go buy macaroons. It's a macaroon shop. It's called Lady Yum. All they sell is macaroons. And on Tuesdays they have like an all-you-can-eat macaroon and all-you-can-drink champagne thing. Anyway, I love macaroons. David is always mad at me.
I love macaroons, but they're just not worth $5 a piece.
He's mad at me because I won't stop buying them. He loves them too, and I keep buying them and we eat them. And he's like, oh, I could just make these, I could just make these. So, by the way, Carrie, thanks for bringing it up because I keep saying, you know what? I'll stop buying them when you start making them. So, hey, challenge.
We will make macarons in a week or two.
Gauntlet laid.
Let's do it. We need a list of, can you try to make this? And, or things that you've tried and haven't worked, we can give it a try and see what happens.
Yeah. Text me those lists, people, and I will arrange them in the order of what I like. Carrie says that she loves it, and Jerry would still love to go to that brunch. The macaroon brunch, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is homemade vanilla because everybody does that, right? Just put in about 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I would normally, so what I'm doing is I'm prepping what I'm going to finish the caramel with. Normally I would like use bourbon or liquor, but apparently we don't have any. Because I think we used all of my, yeah. But anyway, so as to macaroons, I bought almond flour specifically for this.
Z-Master says, the idea of melting sugar frightens me. I imagine a burning mess and pots thrown out immediately.
I don't want to tip it, but let's see. Can you see any of it yet?
Yep, you can kind of see it. Yep. It's boiling in there.
Yeah, it's boiling. So I'm going to just rinse this back down. The main thing that we're doing here is, if you want your caramel to be browner, darker, then you need to, I'm rinsing that back off what I just spread up the side of the pan so I don't introduce crystals. This phase is where you actually get most of the color from your caramel. The longer you cook it, the more it goes. The darker it goes. But the main thing is you just need to bring it above your target temperature.
Carrie wants to know, what about homemade ice cream? Have you ever made that before?
I have.
Can you tell she misses dairy?
Yes. I have made homemade ice cream. I think the first time we ever did it was when we were kids. We had a hand crank in kindergarten, and they made us try to do it as long as the kids could manage to crank it, and then the adults had to take over. Let's see. I want to put a little salt into the cream, because salt, acid, and fat are the combinations that give you your best flavor. So you have to have salt in your candy, actually. You just need a reasonable amount of it.
Have you watched that Netflix show?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I think it's called Salt, Fat, and Acid, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So I'm scrubbing the crystals off that I introduced by tipping the pan. So while this guy is going, let's pop the chicken out and see how he's doing right now. He's getting better. Less white, more brown. We'll just keep him going for a little longer. Our candy is at 210 degrees. Gonna shoot for like about 250, 260, and then we'll mix the cream. The butter is melting in the cream over here, so that's at a good temperature. This is the adult secret ingredient.
What is that?
The adult secret ingredient that I'm not specifically naming on a internet broadcast.
Something that's legal here in Washington State.
But not...
A secret ingredient that would make Kroll specifically really love these caramels that she could not get in Georgia, which we haven't sent to her because... Why again?
Oh, we might meet them before they make it out the door.
I'm a terrible friend. Deanna says, I bet that smells good.
The chicken actually smells great.
And then Carrie, you're really on fire with the questions, my love. I'm really thankful for this.
So happy.
Yeah, Carrie has a great question, and you're going to love the answer to this one. This is one part of the bane of my existence, my love. So, what is David's favorite ethnic cuisine to cook or eat?
How ethnic do you want to get it? Italian? French?
So the answer to that is none.
Yeah, not a whole lot. I like chicken and beef and pork, and most countries have dishes that have those, but I really don't personally. Maybe I shouldn't fess up, but I will. I really hate the flavor of chilies, and I really despise curry. So,
Yeah.
if you take those, so I like things that are spicy and things that are hot. I do not like the flavor of a jalapeno or a green chili. Those are not the same things. So I don't mind spicy food. People misunderstand that. I like spicy food. I just don't want it to taste like a chili pepper, like the green chili or red chili sauce you get in New Mexico. It just doesn't work for me. So anything from various ethnic cuisines that don't have those strong components, I'm typically okay with. They just may not be my favorite.
So like we went to India, David was not pleased with the food. We that was like not the best place for us to go for him to eat. We were there for he was there for like 6 weeks.
All right.
So he was not happy. He spent a lot of time, Carrie, in the Subway and the KFC. So I love like Ethiopian food particularly, or Indian food. So oftentimes I have to just go out with my friend Tiffany, who's here watching, I think, and do that kind of stuff with her.
All right.
Or
so
Jerry.
Our caramel is at about 260 right now. So it would be a very hard candy. If I was making lollipops, that would be great. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cream that I've warmed up and I'm going to put it into the candy, the sugar. And this is the only time I'm going to stir it like this until right before, because I need it to be well incorporated. And I'm just trying to get all the candy body off of the whisk. And then back on the heat. And this time I'm bringing it up to 248, I guess. It is firm craft, or firm ball? Yeah, firm ball, whatever it is.
Hey Deanna, I see your question about cilantro. David hates cilantro, and he's one of the people who believe it tastes like soap. I'm not answering for him. We did talk about it earlier. A lot of people on this chat apparently also agreed, and they thought that it tastes like soap too. So I'm surprised because apparently I always thought that was like a minority thing. Well, not a lot of people had that, and David was an anomaly. But apparently a lot of people here have the same opinion. I love cilantro. David hates it, and apparently a lot of you do as well.
Yeah. So I think the last number I saw was 14% of the population finds cilantro to taste metallic or soapy. Or chemically, in a bad way.
Deanna says she loves it too. So Deanna and I can eat all the cilantro, and you...
My dad and I are on board with despising cilantro. Okay. It's one of the things we have in common. Hi, Dad.
I think you and your father have quite a lot in common. Jerry says, I bet it smells good. And by the way, Jerry, you're correct. It smells wonderful in here.
Oh, while we wait for this to go, I'm going to turn that down. I don't want it to get there too fast.
Jerry, how are your, if you're still listening, how are your calzones over there that Josh made for you? And Kroll, by the way, agrees with you. She hates chilies and jalapenos.
Yeah. So we need some place to turn the candy out when it's done. So I'm going to use some parchment.
Parchment paper.
Parchment paper.
One of my favorite things to say, you guys, is parchment paper. I need to get some parchment paper. Just sounds so like regal and southern and like...
If you're making macaroons and you don't have silicone mats, you need this.
Parchment paper.
Oh, good enough. Just wanting to line the pan, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stick of butter and butter the inside of the pan, and then I'm going to put the
parchment paper.
Butter one side of the paper, and then I'm going to, anyway, you'll see.
We're cutting the parchment paper.
Cut the parchment. All right, butter.
Oh, Charmin asked about Thai food, and by the way, that is one
That's one I do like.
That's a food that you love. You do love
Yes.
Thai food.
Yes.
But Charmin only love when it's like beef centric, right?
Beef or sometimes chicken,
Yeah.
and not curry.
Yeah, not the curries, but like
And not like just, oh, here's some meat or produce with chili peppers. Here's a plate. It has to be a real dish, and I typically really like it. So I buttered the inside of the pan, and the reason is just really to make sure the parchment stays in place. And I'm buttering the inside of the parchment so that the candy doesn't stick to it overly. Okay. You do want on the second phase, once you put the cream into the caramel, you need to cook it more slowly so that you don't actually burn the cream. Because unlike the Brussels sprouts, burnt cream, not so awesome. What's going on, doing this?
nothing. Just watching you put your parchment paper down.
All right, so buttered the pan so the paper would stick, not flop up, because it's so annoying when you're trying to pour candy into the bowl. But if the paper is like flat across the top, it's just going to run out, or it's going to be wonky shaped or whatever. So.
What would flat
Wonky.
out? What would flat out? The parchment paper.
Parchment paper, and the candy will pour on the counter because of it. All right, I'm just cleaning the candy from round 1 off of the whisk, because now this is hard and crystallized, and I do not want to reintroduce crystals back into the finished candy, because it gets rid of the whole point of, oh, I know what I wanted to do. We still have time. I'll just use this. One moment. So, I would normally have done this earlier, but I just forgot about it because we weren't planning. One of the things that helps caramel stay chewy is the introduction of acid into the candy. And it causes what's called inverted sugar to happen. So the sugar, instead of crystallizing into hard crystals, stays in its gooey form. So this is actually a thing of citric acid, and I am going to put it in. You could have used like cream of tartar is a great one if you've got that. That's an acid. You could use lemon juice if you don't mind a lemony flavor in your caramel. But I need to introduce this before the end. There we go. And that'll help everything stay gooey longer. I don't like crystally crunchy caramel. All right, that incorporated well. All righty, so back to washing.
Carrie was saying, hey, is our party favor for attending this gathering a few caramels in the mail? And I told her yes. So we were going to absolutely mail you some of these caramels, Carrie, but definitely not Kroll. She's not getting any.
And no adult caramel can be sent, unfortunately.
And then there was a question from ZMaster01. I'm still not sure who that is, by the way. ZMaster01 does have a question, and they say, what was the most challenging dish you've ever made?
For me, I think the biggest challenge comes to do with scaling for how many people I was going to feed. In the end, for me, cooking is mostly just a process. And once you get comfortable with the process, nothing is particularly harder or less hard. I'm just thinking.
So when was the time that you felt like maybe so you can think about scaling then, if you're talking about, you're not
Right.
worried about like particular
what I'm
dish.
making. It's making enough of it. So
Yeah.
one of the hardest things is I made a giant pot of, I made pasta sauce to can to be able to just have, and just getting enough tomatoes and enough sauce and getting all of that done in scale in the kitchen was the hardest thing, but it wasn't because the recipe was difficult. I'm trying to think, what would be the hardest thing I've ever made? I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not good at that question. Because I'm good at it all. No. I'm sorry, but yeah. I mean, I think any of it. All cooking is hard until you know what you're doing with it, until you're comfortable. And when you walk into it with confidence, knowing that you're going to be able to handle it, it removes that mental pressure and that fear of it. And I think that really does a lot to making it easier to cook. Oh. Sorry. Wine. So our candy's at 220. So it's looking a very nice brown. You know what's really hard to do in the time of coronavirus and while you're on camera is to not touch your face. Not itching your head or scratching yourself over, you know. Yeah. Any other questions?
Carrie just wanted to let you know that what she loves mostly about you is just how humble you are. You know, what's the most difficult thing you've ever cooked? Oh, nothing. What's your most favorite meal? Oh, I made it. You know, so Carrie, you're really nailing it here with David's personality. You know, so humble, so, you know, gracious.
Right? It's just
the word I is not in his vocabulary.
it's true though.
So by the way, I'll just say, I've seen you stress about cooking before, so let's talk about what time where you've stressed about cooking. For example, not this past year, but the year before, we had a lot of people over for Christmas at our house here in Seattle. Tiffany was here, Jerry was here, I know they're both watching. So why don't you talk about, I know that you were super stressed that day, but just because you had a lot of people,
Had a lot of
things that you were making.
How many pies did I make that
Like
year?
7 pies.
Yeah, I think I made like 7 pies. And so I had...
And we had like 8 people maybe.
Right.
And you made seven pies. 7 pies for 8 people. I think pies went home with people. But anyway, you were very stressed that day. So why don't you talk about how you manage stress during cooking lots of different things, lots of people. So maybe it's not difficult to cook the things, but maybe it's difficult to manage cooking all the things at the same time and getting them together at the same time.
So one of the things I think really the biggest thing is planning the timing, because Jeremy was like, we have to eat at X o'clock. That was our target. And one of the things honestly about me is I'm not that concerned about the when. I'm more concerned about the what. And being able to cook and have it done and have it ready, I like everything to be fresh and out and ready to go. I'm not trying to run a catering service to where everything's pre-cooked and then I'm just warming it up to serve to people. I really like the whole, like it's coming out of the oven, and I think that year we made prime rib. Right, so I had a 16-pound prime rib. I wanted that to come out and be ready when the mashed potatoes were ready, when the vegetables were ready, when the yams were ready, when the stuffing was ready. And I only have one oven. So I think more than anything, it's a matter of learning how to plan the sequence of events so that it all tries to come together at the same time. As I have, sorry, panic about the camera that I'm not watching, that I've done so terribly today with turning the oven off on my roast chicken. We have our aging Brussels sprouts.
Jerry wants you to know that it's hard to be that humble when you're that hot. So you have an excuse. You got a pass from her. And then let's see. Lance wants to know, Carrie, I'm ignoring that. Lance wants to know, what do you two miss most because of COVID-19, and what are you loving about it?
I think actually being able to hang out with people and being able to be with friends and cook for friends and family and all of that, that's the thing that I miss the most.
What, you don't miss bowling?
Oh, I do miss bowling a lot. But I'm just so in the cooking mode at the moment.
You've been cooking, David has been cooking quite a lot while we've been in quarantine, and I've also been cooking, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. You can now boil water.
I can cook a smoothie.
How do you operate the blender again?
I read the instruction manual.
Oh, okay. Well, he did get himself a Vitamix that I think he's very happy with.
I do love the Vitamix.
Yeah, it's better than the other blender we had.
I have cooked many smoothies using the Vitamix.
Yes. But actually, Jeremy's got really good at making fish lately.
Ah, salmon. Nailing salmon, guys.
Fish,
Nailing
cod.
salmon. Oh yeah, I can do some cod.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks, babes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deanna says your pies are number one.
Are
I
they?
agree, Deanna. His pies are particularly good. Your pies. And Lance wants to know if you want to go out and walk with us. Lance and I were talking, we were texting earlier today about maybe do you want to go walk around a little bit tomorrow just to get out and about and at safe distance. Lance, I'm going to tell you right now, David will say absolutely not. David is very much no people. No.
No. I don't even like going to the grocery store that much because of it. It's just like, until it dies down, until it's safe, I can manage, and I will. So that's what I do.
So Lance, I may be out with for walking with you, my friend. David's kind of being strict about it, and I think I should listen to, do as I'm told. Lance says he has a mask.
No? Well, once you have a mask and gloves.
Okay. David basically wants me in a bubble, and that's the only way he'll let me out of the house.
I guess my thinking is everybody's looking for an excuse to skirt the intent and the point of social isolation. The intent of it, and if we do it, fine, I might be fine. But that means somebody else is going to see it and they're going to think, I can be fine. And everybody will no longer be social isolating. And then we just have a resurgence of all of this because it's not gone yet and everybody's out doing things. So I say, stay home until it's time.
Roddy says he wants to know, wait, are margaritas smoothies? And yes, Roddy, they are both nutritious for the heart and the spirit. And the spirit is what we're worried about right now, the spirit. And tequila is very good for the spirit.
Here's what our caramel color is looking like now. Does that come across? Maybe not.
It does, actually. You can tell. It looks very like golden brownish. It looks like honey almost, kind of it looks like honey on a spoon. Deanna wants a smoothie right now, and I agree, Deanna. I would also like a smoothie with tequila.
Good.
David loves his caramel. Update. Breaking news. David loves his own cooking.
What's funny or ironic to me is I love my own cooking, but my idea with the show is to cook for other people and have them there because I find nothing more pretentious than a TV person cooking food and they're going, this is the best ever.
You just did that. You literally.
I know.
You literally just did that.
It's that great caramel sauce consistency now.
Deanna says that she loves your cooking too.
Thank you. But, I mean, it's just so funny. And I'm super picky, and I know that over the course of making the show, there's going to be a lot of things that people want to know how to make or want me to cook along with that I just really don't want to eat. So I need other people here to taste that food to let me know what needs to be done.
Thanks, babe.
Mm-hmm. How much?
That's plenty, thank you. Thank you, my love.
Yeah. So the reason the caramel takes so long in the second phase is because I put in a cup of cream, which has a lot of liquid, a lot of water in it, and it needs to boil back out. What makes candy get thick and hard is the lack of moisture. We boiled it out, right? So this phase can take a bit of time, and if you cook it too fast, you have a tendency to make your candy crystallize and hard. It doesn't set well. It's better to cook it up slowly, and we've got the time. But I am getting impatient. I want it to like come out so I can pour it into the dish.
You have a very interesting question coming in.
Uh-huh.
What are your thoughts on the Michelin Star Guidebook, and have you two ever been to an awarded restaurant?
We have. But I've never actually read it, and honestly, the Michelin Star restaurant we went to last, I was underwhelmed.
I agree.
I was, really? This? Or this? What?
Now we did, so hold on. So
We did go in right as they were closing.
Well, hold on. Well, for David's 50th birthday,
that was different, yes.
he's always wanted to go to Vienna. Ever since I met him, like,
Austria.
that's just been his place he's always wanted to go. So we went for his 50th birthday, and I was really trying to plan it and make it really special. So I was looking for cool restaurants there, and I found some Michelin star restaurants there that were supposed to be, you know, really great or whatever. And we went to a couple of them for his birthday, and they were both particularly amazing.
The
I have
greenhouse
to say.
one?
There was one that was in an old. Please describe.
Yeah, it was an old glass greenhouse from what, the 1700s?
Yeah.
It was really an astounding building. And they converted it into a restaurant. It was beautiful, and the food was great. Really was.
That was like probably the most amazing meal I've ever had.
Yeah, it was a high point.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Vienna, ask Jeremy what the name was. He'll find it for you.
But we specifically looked at that guidebook for that city just because it was his birthday and special occasion. But we have been to others, but just by coincidence, but not because we were like looking out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the last one we went to, babe, I agree. It was kind of like meh.
Yeah, one in Thailand,
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Is it Hong Kong?
So hold on. Jerry says it's been 2 hours and 36 minutes worth of vodka. She's had a lot to drink. Jerry's hammered right now. She had a calzone. She's hanging out with Joshua. I'm sure Jake's there, like, you know, on a rant about millennials.
Right. Who, Jake? No. Oh, so funny. Since I started the candy, I kind of was waiting for it because it's it's one of those things. Candy is something that you can't just put off and wait. Once you get going, you're committed. So it's getting close, though. The chicken's looking good. I just checked on it a moment ago.
Who is Z-Master? Who are you? Ooh!
Look at the beauty of the
great,
chicken.
That looks so good.
Let's check the temperature over here. You hear the grease a-going?
Move that parchment paper out of the way.
All right, and we've got 165. Clear. Okay, so we're gonna just let the chicken rest. Most any meat that you cook, if you have the opportunity to let it rest for a little bit before you actually carve it or do much with it, it's great. So I'll leave the lid off and just let some of the heat get out. Let the moisture inside the chicken redistribute again a little bit. Otherwise, when you cut it, all the liquid will run out, and then your meat will be dry, and it's like trying to eat it.
Deanna says noms. Z-Master, who I still don't know who that is, says, okay, that chicken is making me jealous. And then Deanna says, I'm hungry now.
All right, so now we have caramel. Here's our pot O. But what I need to do is whisk in this flavoring really quick. I don't want to over mix it because I don't want to scrape anything off the bottom that might be burned. So we're pouring in our magic ingredients. Did that work?
Looks good.
Smells distinctive.
Smells very good.
Right?
Smells good and looks good.
All right, so it's still so hot, it's bubbling. I don't want to like tip it too much because it is very much.
You know, move the camera?
Yeah, if you want to like get a view in.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm actually going to run a chopstick through it to break some of the bubbles. Mmm, caramel.
And the plan is, by the way, guys, to do more of this next time. We're just trying to work out all the lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
But next time I'll have my own camera and we'll be handheld and doing all kinds of neat camera tricks. Right, babe?
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to actually put some salt on top. But I should use the bigger crystals, right, Carl? Salted caramel is now salted.
Oh, hi Aziz.
Hey man!
I know who Z-Master is now. Hi Aziz. I'm really glad to see you.
I'm glad you made it. I'm so honored. Actually, I'm so happy for everybody that took the time to log in and watch today. I'm eating salt chunks. All right.
Also, Aziz, just so you know, that guy was a loser, and you could do way better. He said, so I wasn't sure who Z-Master was, right?
Right.
And I realized I should probably stop asking that because your whole idea is you want people to start watching. I should probably stop asking who it is.
Right, because you might not know them.
Because you might not know. That's the whole point, right? So I was making a faux pas. And then Z-Master said, he gave me a hint, and it said, you called my date a loser when you came to visit me up north. The last time I saw Aziz was in Toronto. I was there for work. He and I met up to hang out because Aziz moved to Toronto from Atlanta.
Right.
And we were hanging out, and Aziz and I met up, and he was with some new guy, well, a guy that he was dating.
Right.
And the guy was a loser. So Aziz, I'm sorry, bud. I called him a loser because he was. I call it like I see it, and you could do better. And the guy sucked. All right, and then so Sean says that she's so happy to see the inaugural episode.
Right. Here's our little roast chicken. We'll take him out of his harness. Alrighty.
Kroll says, 4 hours later, the chicken is done.
Well,
Scroll, we had a little technical difficulty. Remember when David accidentally turned the oven off?
For like an hour?
Oh, babe.
But you know what? I think that's part of what the show shows, or what the point is so I forgot and I left the oven off.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a loss.
Exactly.
I will reheat the Brussels a bit, just gently. They are now cold. Potatoes are still good though.
Carl says she knows. Ha ha ha, she was kidding.
Yeah, right.
We're all in good, no, it's all in good fun, babe.
I know, I was trying
It's
to
all in
put it.
good jest.
Hey, my realizing that the oven was off will be a great outtake.
Indeed.
You need the bloopers. All right, let's see how well I can cut some of this guy.
May I just say, I think you look great on camera.
Thanks.
That chicken also looks great on camera.
Does it?
And I cannot wait to eat it. Oh, yes.
Hadn't meant to pull the skin off.
Kroll said I look great off camera. You know what, Kroll? You're right. You couldn't be more right.
All right, just cooking away. I could have made nice slices, but I'm kind of in the mood for chunks today, so chunks it is.
Sean asks, how frequently are you planning to Twitch?
Well, during this time, probably is it every week or every other week?
I thought you said that you wanted to do it every Saturday.
Yeah, right now I do.
Yeah.
When we get to like normal life, then it'll probably be like every other week, but who knows? We'll see how it goes.
We miss normal life. I'm not sure if anyone has noticed.
All right?
We can't have normal life. We've been in this apartment for 6 weeks. Well, actually, tomorrow is the 6 weeks mark.
Yeah. Alrighty. I could carve it more, but this will do us for now. One of the things you can do, once you carve all the meat off the chicken, keep the bones, keep the carcass, toss it in a pot of water chop up a couple carrots, some celery, maybe some onion or leeks, and boil it down for a while and make yourself some good basic chicken stock, which I'll probably be doing off camera.
I really love it when you make chicken stock, by the way.
Yeah.
Also, your sister, Sean, wants to know, how do you usually entertain yourself while cooking?
I don't know. I just kind of like am looking at the moment most of the time. I'm not. I don't know. If it's something I have to pay attention to, I'm right in it. And if I'm not, then I'll be off playing the computer or something in between.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say when you do cook, you kind of get into the zone and you really don't think about anything else. So I usually just, by the way, Sean, just so you know, while he's cooking and he's in his zone, he really truly kind of zones out, like zens out. So I just run around drinking champagne, turning music up really loud and dancing, and just waiting for the food to be done. That's kind of a standard Saturday around here.
Yeah.
And then Jerry says she wants a hashtag smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision. It smells really good.
It does smell great in here, Jerry, I have to say. Carrie wants to know, what's your favorite song while cooking? And by the way, so you probably, David, you have been listening to your headphones a lot lately around the house. We both, actually, because we've both been around the house so much lately, we're not used to being at home as much as we have been. We've both been kind of like walking around with our AirPods on, just kind of like listening to, podcasts or music, whatever, as we're, piddling about or whatever. So you've, I've noticed, been listening to a lot of music lately, which is rare for you. So what have you been listening to?
So actually, mostly what I've been listening to, or what I do listen to or keep myself occupied with, is if I have my headphones on, I'm typically listening to an audiobook or maybe a podcast.
We
Or
love Planet Money.
we have this like humongous TV that's right behind the camera that I can angle. So sometimes I'll just swing the TV out and I'll watch bowling or something.
Okay, so Carrie, he loves to watch bowling. We record on our DVR ESPN when they play bowling tournaments. David is in tell Carrie how many different bowling leagues you're in.
The most I've been in at one time is 3.
Tell Carrie how many bowling balls you have.
5.
How many did you have at one point? What was your max?
8.
8.
7 or 8.
8. And so, Carrie, your next question, Carrie, might be, why would you need more than one bowling ball? If you need one bowling ball at all. Lance, I know what you're going to say. Pause. Go ahead, David. Please answer Carrie's question. And also, my question.
Like Jeremy's question. Remarkably, like my husband's question, not Carrie's. A bowling alley has, like, obviously you've got the lane, but the lanes are made out of different materials. Used to be they were all made out of wood, but now none of them are made out of wood any longer. So there's a couple different composite plastic materials, and they have different friction properties. And then they put oil on the lanes, and that changes the friction properties. And so when you are trying to bowl and bowl well, you need to be able to accommodate for that or account for it. Just, I guess, in, similarly but different, like, if you're golfing and you get your ball in the rough, you need a different club than you would if you're stuck in a sand trap. And when you're bowling, you need to be able to have the right piece of equipment that best matches the conditions so that you can be successful.
Kroll says he has a ball for every bowling alley, and that was in caps lock. And then also Carrie said, such a scientist. And also Jerry said, by the way, BTW, she also loves Planet Money because you two are #frugal friends. Jerry, this is very true. You and David are the most frugal people I've ever met in my entire life. And let me just tell you a story, everybody listening. When we lived in Atlanta, one time we were driving out of our neighborhood to go, I don't know where, but we were going to be on the interstate, and our car was low on gas. So there were 2 gas stations. One was on either side of the road. One was like a Texaco, one was like a BP. And let's just for random's, number's sake, say one gas station had it $2.94 a gallon, while another said $2.95 a gallon. Okay, so the difference was 1 cent. I know those are bad, numbers, but the difference was 1 cent a gallon. David turned not to the gas station that was on our side of the street, but instead waited 5 minutes in the middle of rush hour traffic to cross several lanes of traffic to go to the other side of the street, counterintuitive to the way that we should be going, because on the other side of the street it was 1 cent cheaper. Meanwhile, our car has a 25-gallon tank, so literally we saved 25 cents, and it took us 7 minutes. So this is David Spake, the most frugal person on the planet, also known as Jerry Richardson Ekman. So the two of you are on the same boat here, and it makes me crazy.
So let's just put together a little plate real quickly. Okay, is that still in frame? Oh, it's under the X.
Sean says, hey, wow, bowling physics.
Bowling and physics.
Tiffany says, oh my god, our husbands are the same. Tiffany, I always knew this. I suspected as much. I knew this when we went to drive up to Mount Baker, and we left the two of them to meet up with us, and they were going to drive in the same car, and we were driving up, and I was like, you know what? They're going to be fucking fine together. Just put them on some fucking podcasts. They can talk about the economy.
We both, Renee and I both like fun and money. We were golden.
I know, yeah, see? And then Tiffany says, but except Renee doesn't cook. Well, Tiffany.
Well, it looks like Jeremy's the winner.
Looks like I won. Round 1 goes to Jeremy. But don't worry, round 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 go to Tiffany.
Alrighty. Here's a...
Oh, and by the way, oh, look at that.
I'm not the best at plating. I'm much better at eating.
I'm putting that on your tombstone.
Okay. Here, Jeremy.
Oh, thank you, baby. Thanks, love.
Here, let me get you a fresh fork.
Thanks, babe.
So maybe you have to come over here because I don't want to talk about how great my food is, but you can.
Okay.
Do we want to like trade places? You want me to like walk away?
Let's do it. All right, everybody. What are we eating first? Chicken?
That's quite tasty.
It's pretty fucking good.
Wish you were here.
Wish you were here. Glad you're not. These potatoes are fucking awesome.
Aren't they great?
Yeah, they really are. They really are. Oh, I dropped a Brussels sprout.
Oh,
God, those are good.
Aren't they good?
Yeah.
Yep.
So glad no one else is here.
Right? I mean, we might just have to eat it all today.
That would be terrible.
You want me to get you one of those?
I'll get that.
Oh,
You
wait.
eat. Actually, babe, this is great.
It really is good.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to check the chat. Oi! Some bowling physics. Core of the ball, asymmetrical and symmetrical. Who's PNW Devil?
That's Lance.
Hi, Lance.
Hi, Nancy.
Viking Cat, our husbands are the same.
That's Tiffany. Just talking about how you and Renee are the same because you're
Yes.
both so frugal and, you know, weird. Tiffany and
really
I
is
think
good.
are of the opinion that you pay for convenience. So for example, Tiffany, one time when David and I first met, babe, this was maybe like 2 or 3 months after we met.
Uh-huh.
We were going to a show together at the Fox when we were living in Atlanta. And he picked me up and he was going to drive me there. And the parking, like we were late, you were late coming because traffic was bad or something. And he was late picking me up. Anyway, we were going to be late to the show. We were both really stressed. So there was a parking spot right there next to the Fox Theater that was $20. And David was like, no, I refuse. I will not pay for parking. I refuse. That's insane. So instead, we spent 20 minutes driving around looking for parking, and then we're late getting to the show and couldn't go to it because we spent 20 minutes driving around looking for parking instead of paying $20 to actually park.
I don't remember missing the show.
I made that story entirely up. It's good though, right?
However, we have gone around looking for parking because I didn't want to pay $20 for an hour's convenience.
Yeah. Sean wants to know if there's any plans for Sunday brunch.
Oh, I thought you were making a declamation rather than a question.
What was the question?
Sunday brunch. No, I didn't have any plans other than I've got some really great bacon and some bread and eggs and things to make my my preferred weekend meal that I can't get out. I'm going to be making here. So it'll just be real simple bacon, eggs, and French toast.
Awesome.
I don't know what Jeremy's going to have, but... Well,
I have to say that was really good food, babe.
it really is good. The skin on the chicken's great if you like it. The nice thing about roasting it, particularly if you carve it when it's hot, You can opt to not eat the skin if you want. If you're trying to be healthy, I don't know who would do that or why, but Brussels. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
Really appreciate it.
I'm
Any
gonna go eat
parting
all
questions?
I'm gonna eat all that chicken now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please tune in again while we flail around the kitchen and have a good time. Hope you enjoyed yourself and thanks for coming.